everyone, my name is Amanda Sibiya, the most relatable entrepreneur on the internet, and welcome to the third episode of Transform the Way You Work, powered by Zoho Africa, a podcast designed to revolutionize the way professionals approach their work by exploring innovative strategies, tools, and mindsets. Through insightful interviews with industry key opinion leaders, Zoho experts, and influential personalities, the podcast provides listeners with actionable insights and inspiration to boost their productivity and job satisfaction. Today's episode is all about productivity hacks and strategies, techniques and tools to enhance personal and team productivity, including time management tips from industry experts. And today's industry expert is Jonathan Lindeque. Did I say that correctly?
Lindeque, yeah.
Lindeque.
That's fine.
Wow. He's the managing director at LSP. I want you to tell us a little bit about what LSP is and how you got to be the managing director there.
All right. So, first of all, thanks for allowing me to be here. Secondly, LSP, we are a Sage business partner who implements, supports customers on their Sage payroll and HR software. So, we're a pure Sage house, implementing, supporting customers, and also reselling Sage payroll and HR software into the market. LSP started in 2019. Started as a small 13-employee company working.
13 is not small.
Well, 13-employee company working out of a restaurant there in Durban. So the company originated in Durban as well. And then from there, the company just grew over a couple of years. I joined LSP in 2021 in effectively July as well. So then started my journey as a sales executive, reselling, selling, supporting customers as well. And then, worked my way
way up to managing director.
Way up to managing director. Didn't really, put my hand up for it. But, our owner, Lal, he obviously saw something in me because I'm also system focused, process focused. So, I'm very privileged to have this opportunity.
That is, honestly, that's a great story. From 2019, 2022, managing director in 3 years, I need some tips from you on how to get to that. But I mean, obviously the business that you're in has a lot of influence. Like, honestly, technology is a big thing there. Yes. And right now, obviously, the question is whether AI is a friend or a foe. So for you, would you consider AI friend or foe?
AI has to be a friend. You have to accept it. You have to make it a friend. I think there's no denying in how it's going to grow in the future.
Yeah.
Just by simple tools like you can see ChatGPT, all of these AI Canva tools, etc. You have to accept it. And I think the quicker you get into using it, getting familiar with it, the better for you it's going to be for yourself and your company.
Do you not see it as a foe in some instances? I mean, you can't say it's a friend in all aspects. If you have a friend, you don't love everything about your friend. So would you say that it is a friend in all aspects? And in which aspects would you say AI is a foe?
Look, I think the biggest thing and the most important thing is to know what it's about. First, learn everything there is about AI. Know what it's about, then you can distinguish, is there a threat to your business or to your staff or any way that's going to be a con by using AI. But secondly, you don't know what you don't know. So
True.
I would say, push your research, get into AI, know what it's about, start using it. There's a lot of free versions out there, start using it. And then from there, you'll be able to determine, what can you use AI for, and what's rather leave it as a user base or an employee do that type of stuff.
I mean, having a team, obviously it started with a team of 13, which isn't small, but obviously now it's grown in terms of the team, and productivity is obviously very important. Using AI tools or tech in itself. So for you personally, how would you define productivity?
Productivity looked like when I started my career in 2013, February, straight out of varsity, got the opportunity to start working as a payroll consultant at Sage. Then I thought, ticking everything off the list, making sure you're busy from 8 to 5, even after hours, getting as much done as possible. That means productivity, right?
Yeah.
Afterwards, or after a couple of years, you realize, there's always going to be an endless list of to-do lists. There's always going to be an endless list of tasks outstanding. So for me, productivity is having rather look at the outcome. What outcomes do you need to achieve? Our owner Lal also always mentions the great thing for me is, eat the frog first. Okay. Do the most difficult thing early in the morning. Eat the frog first. Do the most difficult thing in the morning.
Okay.
And then from there, be selective with what you want to spend your time on. Starting as a sales executive as well at LSP, you can't just go out on a rampage and start doing cold calls. You need to
Yeah.
use your time selectively so that you can get the best outcome, because, being one or two salespeople in a company, it's not a big sales team.
Yeah.
So you need to see how you can maximize, with 20% input, get 80% output.
Okay.
Yeah. So
How have you
that's,
maximized it currently using technology, of course? I mean, obviously, there are many tools that people can use, but for you personally, I think inside and outside of work, but specifically inside of work, how have you maximized your productivity?
So when I joined LSP, as a sales executive, we didn't have any software in terms of sales related software, customer software. When I started working, got the processes, I had my idea of what I wanted to achieve. And then, we started looking, okay, where's all the info? No, there's no info. It was done on Excel sheets. Everything was done on Excel sheets. So, So for me, I had a look at my colleague and we had a long discussion. We did a lot of research as well with other companies, old colleagues, old friends, what are they using, what's working, what's not working. And then that brought us to the idea of Zoho CRM, first of all. As a salesperson, it's crucial to have an overview of all of your customers, specifically from a sales perspective. What are they licensed for? What system are they using? What's the history of the customer as well? So implementing CRM was critical for us as a business. And then from there, using CRM, the whole deals, the sales pipeline, the reporting, the dashboarding from there has made a massive, massive difference for us.
So, I mean, obviously, when you're working with a team that is bigger than one, teaching or training is very important when it comes to these technologies as well. And I mean, I have not 13 people, but I have a small team as well. And I run a business. I also use Zoho CRM. But I found it challenging to train, not necessarily challenging, but it was a bit of an obstacle to get through. But with a bigger team, I'm very curious about how do you train and make sure that everyone knows how to use the same system. So obviously you've identified this is the system you want to use. How do you go about rolling that system out?
So for me, is the change management process is you always have to think of that first. Before selecting any software, you think of the change management, how this will affect your team. And then when you have, so when we selected Zoho initially, then we had a big discussion, and for me is get people excited of what's to come. You have to get everybody's buy-in. Don't just implement something and say you're going to have to use it.
Deal with it.
I think having that sessions before and showing them what can it do. I mean, there's countless YouTube videos and marketing videos as well of Zoho that got everybody excited. But coming from no system where Excel, where I'm able to give management, proper automated reporting, dashboards, analytics, giving you an analysis over the past 2 years, that type of stuff, for me, it's phenomenal. I like software. So it was for me great, but it's important to get everybody's buy-in first before just, rolling out and starting, get everybody's buy-in, get everybody excited. Then if you get them excited, then they're going to help you. They're going to give better ideas of how to roll it out, what you can tweak. So for me, that's very important.
What was the challenge, though? I'm sure there was a challenge in rolling out certain systems within. Like, what was the biggest challenge for you? Whether it be the team's buy-in or the actual software, like what was the biggest challenge for you in rolling it out?
For us, rolling out Zoho CRM wasn't really that difficult because it was really run between myself and my colleague, the sales colleague. We basically took ownership of it and customized the whole thing ourselves, made sure it aligns with our processes, what we envision. But then looking at the next phases, we've rolled out Zoho Desk as a support ticketing system. So there's obviously a couple of challenges. There's always teething issues in the beginning. It's being able to preempt teething issues and also make the team aware that, this is the start of a rollout. You are going to pick up issues. Please be part of the solution, bring us your recommendations. And then we rolled out Zoho Desk in a week. By the second week, a lot of the kinks were worked out. We automated allocations of tickets and all of that, made sure that everybody played nice with each other as well. So
you have to make sure.
I think you have to be honest with yourself when rolling out a system. It's not going to be perfect from day one.
It won't be. I mean, obviously I think there are misconceptions in doing anything in a business and running it as well. What do you think is the biggest misconception about like reaching the peak productivity within a team setting for you?
So for me, in a team setting, again, it comes back to everybody thinks, being busy the whole day, that's going to give you the best outcome, which it's not necessarily the case. For me, especially in a team, you have to have a clear, I won't say leader, but somebody that delegates selectively and efficiently.
Okay.
So being in a team, the team leader or the manager of that team, etc., needs to be able to tell everybody clear instructions with deadlines to say, okay, Jonathan, you're responsible for this. Amanda, you're responsible for this. I need this by this time. Being able to delegate within a team clearly, that's going to be have a much bigger impact than just, everybody's running busy, everybody's busy on a project. But you end up people going on their own ways, so I think if you have to have a clear leader that is able to delegate selectively and clearly and give clear instructions. You can't always just tell one person, do this. You have to give a clear instruction. What is your expectation so that you don't have to redo work, basically.
Yeah, I mean, there are times in a business, well, in anyone's life, really, whether you are in business or you're running a certain organization, big or small, there are times where you just can't be productive. Like, it could be any reason. It could be because you're just tired. Honestly, at this time of the year, it might be end year fatigue as well. How do you personally handle the days where I just can't be productive today?
Yeah, that's especially this time of the year. It's actually a very good point you make there. So for me, is having a couple of habits that outside of work that just for me is fitness. So I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
I have an M club. Wow.
Having to make lunch for 2 girls, pack their lunches, helping their mom get everything ready.
Yeah.
And then after that, once they go off to school, then I have to hit the gym. Even if it's a 20-minute session, that gets your mind off things. It puts things into perspective. And after that, you feel good. I mean, by 7:30 or 6:30, then I've already done something for the day. It can be something small, but at least I've done something. So I know, you're on a good track. You've got the momentum. And then you also feel better. So for me, just having a little bit of exercise here and there, it definitely helps a lot.
That is 6:30 is. I speak for many people here when I say waking up at 5:30 is not. 5 o'clock is not easy for everyone. Yeah. And obviously, that's like the biggest thing to kind of get your mind going. And mindset is very important as well. I think mentally, honestly, if you're not good mentally, I think at work, productivity. I could give you all of the productivity hacks. They're not going to work at all. But what's the one productivity hack that's worked for your team outside of you personally hitting the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning is what gets you going. But for your team, obviously you can see when your team is slacking slightly, but what has been the productivity hack that has worked for your team when you can see that it's not working as well as it should?
So then again, that comes to being able to get everybody together, discuss the outcome. What do we need to achieve? And then give clear instructions. You might have some people slacking. There might be personal issues as well. You always need to take people. You're dealing with human beings. You can't be running 8 to 5, 100% all the time. You're dealing with humans. People have stuff going on in their personal lives as well. So you need to be cognizant that you're dealing with humans. And if somebody's slacking, then it's not that they don't want to perform. There might be reasons to that. So, but for me, not a hack, but basically just having open communication, always discuss the outcome. Having the outcome always in mind for a team is critically important for me. So that, they always know that, when I do this, the outcome is going to be that. When I do that, this is the outcome. It doesn't help somebody sitting there doing a task for 8 hours and they don't know what it's for. They also need to know, what is the goal of this? Why am I doing this? So for me, that's, having clear communication of what's the outcome? Why am I asking this of you? That's for me important.
You mentioned earlier that one myth is that when you're busy, you're productive, which 100% of the time is not the case. You might be busy watching a Netflix show. You're not working. So do you think, obviously you think that that's one myth, that a productivity hack myth that is holding people back. Are there others that you think a myth that people have in terms of being productive outside of you look busy, so you must be busy, you must be productive, that you think is holding people back? It's obviously very much a mindset issue. So, obviously mindset was you have to kind of shift certain perspective for yourself in order to kind of get out of that myth that's holding you back. But outside of, if you look busy, you must be busy, what other myth do you think is holding people back?
Yeah, I think one of the myths is, if I'm at work 8 o'clock and I clock out 5 o'clock, I've done my job. For me, you don't always need to look at it as doing a job 8 to 5. For me, think about going into more in-depth introspection. Why am I doing this? What is this for?
Yeah.
If I get given a task and I do it very well in shorter hours, what's going to be the outcome of that? Am I going to get more work? Or a lot of people shy away from more work, but I feel if you're being productive, meaning you get progress and productivity is two different things. If I'm getting progress quicker and I'm getting stuff done quicker, look at that rather. Don't look at I've got this whole list of things that I need to do, and the list is always endless.
Yeah.
Be selective with your time. Think of what am I going to do that's going to be the best for progress, that's going to be the best for outcomes. Another hack it's a small hack, but one thing that I typically do is on my mails, I've set up a rule to say that any mail that's directed at me that I need to action gets highlighted in bold automatically.
Okay.
When you open up your mails, you see 50 unread emails. You can immediately see that, okay, but actually only 10 are for me to respond. You copied in half of them, you're wasting time reading through every single mail. Get through your mails first that you need to action, and then you can go through the rest and get yourself in the loop.
Personally, I take too long with mails because you get there and you see 15, you get intimidated, you just close the laptop and say, I'll see this tomorrow. But I think that setting is great to see which ones you have to respond to first, which ones are most important in that case, or if you can just close the laptop and take a vacation if you can. But I'm very interested about the complexities of running a business, specifically with a larger team. Personally, like I'm saying, I do run a business, but it's not to a point where it's like 20, even 13 people, maybe probably 10 or less. So I'm interested about the most complex issues when it comes to technology specifically that you've kind of encountered specifically when it comes to running a business. I think specifically from a point of view that you didn't necessarily start the business, but you came in and learned a lot of it from being in the business and now being the managing director for the business. I'm sure you've seen like many stages of the business itself. So right now I'm just very curious about certain complexities of running a business on a technology point of view from a managing director point of view as well.
So complexity for me is getting the right software in.
Yeah.
Being able to implement software that it's going to work.
Okay.
What I do find, especially working with other customers as well, is you get what I refer to them as software divas. Every time there's a new software out, they just want the best software and they want to purchase and implement the software immediately. Yeah. But for me, I want to take my time being selective of what software I want to implement. Starting in 2021, we implemented CRM first. We ran it only with CRM for over a year, just with CRM. And then we said, okay, now it's time for the next step. Now let's start implementing a ticketing system. That's been running now for 2 to 3 months now.
Okay.
And then we're starting now going into Zoho projects, Zoho bookings, that type of stuff. So complexities for me is, to avoid complexities, making sure that you find the right software and don't just go buy every software that's out there. Make sure, do your research, make sure that the software you are looking at and the tools you are looking at is actually going to work. It doesn't help you purchasing the Rolls Royce of systems, but it's not going to give you the effect and the outcome that you need. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, you're sitting with egg on your face because you've outlaid this massive cost and the benefit isn't really worth it. So, and also having a phased approach is critical.
Okay.
Because our business has grown, we're almost 70 employees at the moment. So, growing from 13 to 70 has got a whole bunch of complexities as well, reporting structures, delegations, all of that type of stuff. So implementing software should be a journey. It's not a flip the switch solution. So for me is navigating that to say, don't always purchase the Rolls Royce.
Okay.
Do your research, make sure, it works for other companies. What does work? What works for other companies? And then having a nice, slow, phased approach, making sure you get the outcome of every single small item you implement.
When it comes to small business owners, they are very bad at doing that. Phasing out a specific approach or even finding the best software, just thinking, I need to get the Rolls Royce of all softwares in this case. And I believe building systems is very important for any business at any stage, whether it's just 2 people or 1 person, because if you build a beautiful system and it's only 3 of you, when it's 5 of you, you already have a system so people can just learn from what's there. So for you, considering that you went from, you were there from, just not as a managing director and you built your way up, what would you say is the most important system to build first? because I think when it comes to business owners in particular, you want to build everything all at the same time. But unfortunately, you can't, specifically if you're just starting and maybe it's just 3 or 5 of you. But what would you say is the most important system or software to kind of build from first?
Okay, so I think that's quite easy for me. Is the first one you have to get done is obviously an accounting system. You need to be able to invoice customers and get your money in the bank.
Yeah.
That's number one. So, and number two for me is having a CRM. You know, you have to know your customers. You have to be able to report on it. Being able to, I call it from a helicopter view, look at the customers and then be able to go into a customer, see what their profile is about and also their history. You know, like you say, you go, as you grow 3, 4 years, 5 years down the line, you have the reports and the history built up of what happened with the customer, because ultimately the customer is, and that relationship you have with the customer is going to be critical for you to be able to continue doing business.
Of course. Yeah.
So for me is, you know, having that insight into a customer, you know, having a meeting with a client or customer, and then 6 months down the line, you have a check-in, but you have made the notes on CRM. What did you talk about? What was pain points? What are you looking for? They said, no, everything is happy. Check-in with 6 months. You can reiterate that. It just builds that relationship, gives that more personal touch, that we're not just you. I don't want to use you just as a customer, but I want to get to know you better. I want to serve you better. You know, so for me, a CRM is critically.
So I think from there, I think one of the important lessons you're saying is that building a good relationship with your customers is essential to run a good business and an accounting system. Can't invoice them, you're not making money.
You have to get paid.
You have to get paid one way or another.
Yeah.
You mentioned that personally, you know, going to the gym is very important for your productivity in essence. So if we're taking that and putting it into more of a software technologies, for you personally, what are the tools that have helped you in your productivity in essence? So outside of the gym, because it's not necessarily a tool or a software you can have on your phone, because you actually have to go and work out yourself. I think if there was a system to, you know, help you work out.
They would have tried it already.
Oh, goodness. I would have been the first one there.
Yeah.
But for you personally, what are the tools that have worked for you in terms of your productivity?
One of the best tools for me is start learning to make good notes.
Oh.
When having a convo with a customer, with a colleague, anybody else, you know, being able to make good notes is going to save you at the end of the day. I can't tell you how many countless times I went back on my notes, I noted everything properly, and then it just elevates the next conversation with the customer. So for me, the best tool, even if it's on a notepad, I still use a physical pen and paper to make notes. That helps me. It's easier for me to jot it down and to remember, but taking notes and learning to make good notes is critical. So that's one of my best tools that I can say.
So do you take all your notes on pen and paper? Nothing on like a note app or?
I am using the note app, especially if I have meetings, online meetings, conference meetings. Then obviously try to record as much as you can. You know, with technology, it records everything. It even gives you a transcript. With AI, it gives you a summary at the end as well, which is nice. But but having, you know, a conversation with somebody over the phone or having a personal meeting face to face, then, you know, pen and paper is unbeaten there so far. Because typically I don't always like to, you know, work on a laptop when I have a conversation, but I can write while I'm looking at you and make short notes. So for me, it depends on the scene. If it's an online conference call, then obviously you've got the tools to record it for you, make your transcripts and everything like that. But if it's a face-to-face, pen to paper is for me the best.
Listen, I'm also a very traditional person, so pen to paper is still great. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a good thing to kind of put it on somewhere where anyone else can kind of get access to it as well. But what other productivity tools do you use on a daily that have kind of helped your productivity, whether it be, for me, I know it's definitely the calendar app. If it's not in my calendar, it does not exist.
Exactly.
So that's one of the tools that I use. But personally for you, what are the tools that you use on a daily that kind of help with your productivity as well?
So for me, I'm exactly the same. If it's not on my calendar, I need to book it in my calendar. Even if I have a conversation with, you know, with a colleague and they say, I need to do this on a system. I say, okay, great. Let me dot it in my calendar. You know, always make a note, put it in your calendar, and also set time aside of when you want to focus on something. It doesn't help you, you know, having 1 or 2 meetings with customers in the day, the rest looks blank.
Okay.
And then you start getting scattered. You know, if I need to hand in a tender tomorrow or in 2 days, it takes a lot of
Yeah.
work. So you need to put out that time and
Yeah.
focus on what you need to do.
Yeah.
So for me is managing my calendar effectively as well. That's critical for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think the calendar also works in a team setting as well. If someone can see that you're not available between 11 and 12, they obviously can't book you for a meeting in that time. So for a team setting, what are the productivity tools or your favorite techniques for boosting team productivity on your end?
So for me is because we're in a implementation consulting business, having a project management tool as a team is critical.
Yeah.
So that's why we're very excited to roll out Zoho projects.
Yeah.
Being able to log my time as individual consultants on a project and having a project manager, having a helicopter view again on who's put in what are they busy with. It avoids miscommunication, it avoids overspending, it avoids additional no charges that cost us at the end of the day. Just making sure everybody's time is efficiently used just by having a project management system.
Yeah.
Everybody just when they're all busy with a task, they put in their time, they log their time at the end of each week. You can clearly just see where are we tracking, how much hours have we used, how much hours do we need, that type of stuff. For me, that's as a team setting, being able to manage projects on a project software is crucial.
And currently, do you work both virtual, or is it hybrid in terms of working in person and virtually, or just in person?
So we've got a hybrid working workforce. I like to go to the office. I like an office. I'm traditional that way. But a lot of our consultants, they work remotely. I mean, in today's world, you can be sitting in Kuruman accessing a company's information.
Yeah.
So our consultants work remotely. But having a tool that you can have conferences, meetings, cameras on is always a policy at our company as well. It doesn't help me just looking at your name. I want to see your facial expressions because that tells a lot about a lot of communication gets missed if you can't see body language.
Yeah, also to see that you're present.
Exactly.
But how do you make sure that your hybrid team, since most of them are virtual, how do you make sure that their productivity is always kind of boosted? Because I think you like going to the office. I personally think going to the office is a good thing. You get to feed off people's energy. But if you are in a space where you're virtual most of the time, your productivity level can sometimes be impacted because you're not seeing the person who you're working with. And I'm only in a meeting for so long, you can see my face and then I'm off the meeting. Yeah. I might look like I'm online in terms of our productivity tool itself, but how do you ensure that you're keeping them, like even they're boosting their morale in essence?
So we call it an extended meeting, but it's basically just a nice catch up session. And we've made it mandatory. At least I want to see once a month, everybody at the office being able to catch up, what's been going on in your life personally as well, because again, you're dealing with humans. You need to be able to know what's happening. I just don't want to look at your numbers. I want to know what's motivating you. One person's motivation can be money, another person's motivation can be flexi time. So you need to be able to determine and get insight into what drives a person, but having them coming to the office once a month at least, or getting somewhere together once a month, face to face, that's mandatory for us. So that helps at least, getting everybody together, know who you work with, because a lot of times consultants can work remotely for 6 months, you don't see them, and they actually feel left out of the company and isolated. So, being able to, or being forced, not forced, but, make it mandatory, come at least once a month, have a discussion, eat pizza, have the chat, because you can also feed off other consultants' frustrations and talk about customers, all of that type of thing. I feel that motivates the team significantly.
Yeah. Has it always been hybrid? Because I mean, starting from 2019, that is literally a year before the pandemic. Was it always in person or always hybrid, or was that a forced pivot from COVID-19?
It was actually most of the time or always hybrid, to be honest with you. So as a consultant, even when I was a consultant myself, in a month you are out seeing customers 90% of the time. Other times you're doing admin, and then when I do admin, then I like to go to the office. But as a consultant, and most of our workforce is consultants, they are always hybrid, always out working at clients. So it hasn't been a massive thing to adopt a hybrid workforce actually.
Has there been any specific challenge in the hybrid workforce and kind of implementing technology? Because now I know earlier from our conversation was like you're in a stage where you're kind of implementing some of these softwares and you're getting into Zoho projects. And considering that your workforce is hybrid, I'm like, is that not challenging to implement certain things whereas people are scattered all over? Because if you're saying, guys, we're implementing Zoho projects and everyone is in one room, you know, you get the buy-in quicker.
Yes.
But considering that it is a hybrid workforce and most of them are consultants, was that not challenging to get them to get their buy-in, considering that everyone is kind of scattered?
Definitely. No, it is definitely a big challenge. Especially they don't know always what's happening at the office or at management,
Yeah.
you know, what your thoughts are by implementing systems. So that's definitely one of the biggest challenges. And I think that's where, you know, when we have the get together, I also like to, you know, chat with the consultants, chat with every employee to say, you know what, we're doing this. This is what we're implementing. And I like to show,
Okay.
you know, being as a salesperson as well, I was responsible for doing demonstrations on products, etc. So I like to show, you know, having a look at, this is the dashboard that you can get, you know, this is the timesheet, because currently, you know, a big frustration with consultants was, you know, doing timesheets.
Yeah.
It's a thing you have to do, but it's unfortunate,
Yeah.
but you are,
Yeah.
if you're a billable consultant, you have to do timesheets. So being able to show them that, listen, you're going to get a task on Zoho project, and then on there, you're going to do your timesheet, and it's going to be workflow approved. You know, it's going to take so much manual work out of it. So that gets them excited.
Okay.
But again, you need to get them at the office, or you need to get together and discuss what your ideas are for the software. What do you want to achieve with the software? For example, at the end of the month, we've got a big consulting conference also coming up, you know, where our vision is going to be explain what's coming for the next year as well. And then obviously get their input as well. For me,
Which is important, yeah.
it is important. You need to be able to listen and, you know, what is your ideas? And then if they feel that they can have a voice in terms of how they can shape, because each employee will have good ideas, and you have to be able to listen. You can't, like I said, you can't just force stuff down. You need to be able to listen and adapt and, you know, take their advice, and a lot of it is going to be good advice. So then you can say, okay, this is actually a good idea. Let me tweak the system a bit, and then you get their buy-in a lot better as well.
Yeah. Is there a tip you can give either a business owner or someone who is in management within a bigger organization who have a hybrid working system, who want to implement certain technologies and systems within their business, but are finding it challenging to get the buy-in from their team, whether they have consultants or whether these people are full-time within the business? What are some of the kind of tips that you would give them when they kind of face those challenges, specifically for those who have a hybrid working system, which I think is a lot of companies in this day and age who want to just implement certain things, but just finding it a bit challenging?
For me, is you need to get feedback from your people.
Okay.
You need to ask them, you know, what are your frustrations?
Yeah.
What do you struggle with on a day-to-day basis? And then from that feedback, you can collate it, and then you can decide from there, you know what, okay, what do we need to resolve?
Okay.
What is the items that we need to resolve? Can it be resolved with software? Can it be made easier for the people? You know, not having 7 manual Excel sheets you need to maintain.
Gotcha.
Can everything be done online or on a system? You need to be able to determine that. So get the information from the ground people. You know, listen to them, ask them, give us your opinion. What is your struggles and challenges? And then from there, you can get a better understanding of what do you need to do from your side as management to implement to make their lives easier. You need to make their lives easier. And if it's not going to make their life easier, they're not going to accept
What's
it.
the point?
Yeah.
Would you say that you would give the same advice to team leaders who want to foster a productive team environment as well?
Yes, definitely. You need to be able to listen.
Yeah.
You need to be able to, you know, as a team leader, you're not, or for me, you don't dictate. You need to just listen and make sure everybody has a clear understanding, and then also being able to give everybody clear instructions and deadlines on timelines as what do you need, and then but as a team leader, definitely listen to your people. Take what they say to heart, because they are the people that actually is doing the work and experience the challenges on a day-to-day basis. So you need to be able to listen, and when you do that, I feel you get better morale, and they also, you know, become more loyal at the end of the day. If they feel that they've made an impact, you know, they can bring a change to a company in a positive way. I mean, that's just, you know, boosting loyal and reducing your attrition, basically.
Would you say it's important for you to kind of, I mean, you've mentioned that it's important to do check-ins with them on a personal level as well. So obviously they need to have certain personal habits that they have and tools that they kind of implement. For you, it's going to the gym. For them, it might be something as well. I want you to walk us through like a typical work day routine for you. We know how your morning looks like. You wake up at the crack of dawn. But once you get to the office and once you get into work, what does a typical workday routine look like for you? And what habits would you kind of advise for someone else to kind of learn from you as a team leader?
So for me is I don't try to schedule any meetings before 9 o'clock. Okay. So at least from 8 to 9, you can go through any emails you missed from last night. Maybe there came in urgent emails from last night, or there's urgent items you need to address in the morning. Give yourself at least an hour in the mornings to tackle those items. And like I say, eat the frog first.
Yeah.
Do the bad thing or the biggest thing you don't want to do that first, get that out of the way. And then if your meetings start at 9, after 9, you can handle that. And then also at the end of the day, I don't like to have meetings ending at 5 o'clock as well. Yeah. Or ending at even at 4 o'clock. You need to be able to, try to give myself time from 3 o'clock onwards, responding to emails, responding to employees, customers, all of that, closing off the day, making sure that whatever I've done, was it productive? What do I need to do tomorrow morning? So for me, is don't schedule meetings too early in the morning.
No one likes this.
Nobody likes those.
No, it doesn't.
Even on a Friday afternoon, nobody wants to sit in the graveyard.
It's like pre-weekend. Let's not do that.
Yeah. If you want to sell a product, don't do it at Friday afternoon.
No one's going to buy it. I think the title of this episode should be "Eat the Frog First."
Eat the frog first. Yeah.
Because that's the most. Honestly, I'm taking that home with me as well. But what are some of the micro habits and like small changes that you've kind of found that made a big difference within your productivity, both at work and personally?
Be selective with your time. I think, like I previously said, there's always going to be endless lists. There's always going to be endless tasks to do. But you only have so much time. And you need to be able to say to yourself, okay, if I spend an hour on this or an hour, what's the best thing that I can spend it on? What's going to be the biggest, what's going to give me the best progress, the best outcome? You can't always tackle everything every day, work till 9 o'clock at night or 12 o'clock at night. You're going to have burnout. You're going to, and nobody wants that. And it's not good for business as well. So be selective with your time, making sure that your time management and what you spend your time on is critical. Even as a salesperson, I can handle all other quotations and all of that stuff, but follow-ups, that type of thing, making sure that you do the item that's going to bring you the best reward.
Okay. The frog.
The frog.
But I mean, obviously you could be productive and manage your time as much as possible, but you can't remove you can remove them, but you can't avoid certain distractions, and distractions happen. I think specifically for those who either work from home. I have days where I work from home, and I will tell you that there are many distractions. You try to handle them as much as possible, but how do you handle distractions throughout your day?
Yeah, that's always going to be a difficult one. Even like I said, I like being at the office, but being at the office, you get people coming to you, constantly for advice or discuss anything like that. You need to be able to. For me, I need to be able to close my door.
Okay.
We've got these nice signs on our doors to say, it's green, you can knock and come in. Okay. But if it's red, don't disrupt it at the moment. So you need to be able to say no to people. Say, I can't do it now. I'm not to be bad or anything, but I need to focus on this right now. Once I've got this done, then we can sit and we can do whatever we need to do. So you need to learn to say no to people and be selective with your time and being able to close the door and say, don't disrupt me now.
Which to me sounds like you need to have healthy boundaries between your work and your life. And I know this myth that work-life balance exists. And honestly, for me personally, I don't think it's something that truly exists. But I think people find their own balance within their life and their work and how to kind of manage the two. And obviously being able to say no is a form of having a healthy boundary, even at work. But for you, how have you managed, if you have managed to create a work-life balance? If you have one, are you taking work home at 9 p.m. in the evening, or like how have you for yourself kind of created a work-life balance for yourself? If it exists, if it doesn't, it's okay.
Look, for me, I've got my emails on my phone. I'm always accessible.
Okay.
So you do end up working at night. You do end up working at 6 o'clock in the morning or early in the morning as well. But what I've found is, for me, it's more of a mindset thing. Is I really like what I do.
Okay.
And if you like what you do, you don't feel like it's always work and you always have to do this task at hand. I can sit on my couch doing emails at night, still having a conversation with the family as well. But you need to, like you said, also you need to be able to say no, and have a healthy boundary in terms of what you need to say yes to and what you need to say no to. But for me personally, I like what I do. I've found the mindset where if you like what you do, you always had that Sunday blues when Derek Watts at Carte Blanche started rolling. Then you got that Monday or that Sunday blues. For me, having a mindset that enjoy what you do, find the things that you enjoy at work. I think that's also going to just switch your mind to you're going to feel a better work-life balance just if you enjoy what you do.
Yeah. I'm an advocate of enjoying what you do, and an advocate of like creating healthy boundaries, because at the end of the day, you'll find yourself working at the wee hours of the morning. You don't want that. And I mean, I think the one thing that I've learned from you today is honestly, eat the frog first. I'm going to put that everywhere on my social media today. Eat the frog first. This should be the title of today's episode, honestly.
It should be.
Eat the frog first is very important, but also I think there's that quote, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. I mean, sometimes it's true, sometimes it might not seem like it's true, but I think 90% of the time it is true. But any final thoughts to the audience in terms of, productivity in itself? And basically, you've come honestly far at LSP, and I must congratulate you on that, from just someone who's starting as sales and then managing director. Honestly, that is a big deal. So
thanks.
You must pat yourself on the back for that. Yeah. But for anyone who's looking at you and saying, well, that's an inspiring story, and I think I'd like to kind of learn from you, what advice would you give them? Just final thoughts on either be productivity, the small changes that make big differences. Some of these small steps are still steps nonetheless.
Yeah.
Just final thoughts from your end.
For me, is having an outcome focused. Look at the outcomes you want to achieve and focus your energy on that. If you're going to always look at the endless mountain in front of you, you're always going to be tired before even you step a foot on it. But being able to look at the outcomes, what do you want to achieve? And if you eat the frog first, believe me, the rest of the day, it's going to feel like a breeze. You're going to be happy. Then you're going to enjoy what you do as well, because you've done the thing that you didn't want to do, but it's out of the way. And most of the times when you do the thing that you didn't want to do, it unlocks so much more and so much more opportunity. So for me is eat the frog first. The thing that you're avoiding, once you do that thing that you avoided, you'll realize that it wasn't that bad. You're going to be much more happier with yourself, and your outcome and your productivity or your progress rather is going to be much better and improved.
I think when it comes to then softwares or technologies, whether it be on a personal kind of basis or at work, what is the one thing that you want people to take away in terms of what can I do tomorrow? Like, fine, I watched this episode, this has been great, but it's like, where do I even start? Because people get stuck at not knowing where to start and then just keep procrastinating that start date. And I know you could just say, just start today, but if I were to want to start today in wanting to, build proper systems within my business, be more productive in my personal and work life, where do I start today? Like, what do I do now?
So look at, if you have a CRM system, great. If you don't have a CRM system or customer relation system, implement that first. However, don't just look at a CRM system alone. Think about in 5 years' time, after this system is now implemented, what else is there? Select a software that's going to be easy to just add modules on it. You don't want to implement also 10 different siloed systems at the end. You want to implement one system or one platform that you can just add the different functionalities on. So when you do decide on a software, have a look at the platform as a whole, not only the silo functionality that product that gives you. Have a look at the platform and what does the platform what can the platform give you, ultimately at the end of the day.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today, Jono. Honestly, I've learned a lot today. For me, the only thing I'm taking, already what I'm taking away from this whole conversation. No. But again, I must congratulate you for all the work that you're doing at LSP, and I hope that it works out the way you hope it will. And all the best with the rolling out Zoho projects as well. Honestly, running a business with 70 people, I don't know how you do it, but you're doing it somehow. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much.
And thank you for listening to Transform the Way You Work, powered by Zoho Africa. Don't forget, eat the frog first.